Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I got a very good video for you today. It's very timely. I really delved into the Hunter Biden case, the gun charge. Yes, you're going to hear a little bit. You're going to get a lot of good information out of me. Please, before you even check this out, please hit my subscribe button, hit that notice, pass it on. That really does help. And we do this a lot, and I don't get many sponsors, but just, if you can do that, it would be appreciated. I really mean that. Now, let's jump right into the Hunter Biden case. What I wanted to do with the Hunter Biden case was actually to give you who he is, his family, his life, what the charges were about, and what's going to happen next. I'm not going to try to make this a crazy long video, but you know me, I can ramble. And when I get into these kind of cases with the law in my head, I'm usually spot on, especially in a federal case like this is as well. Who is Hunter? Robert Hunter Biden. Robert Hunter Biden is the second son of our president, Joe Biden, and his wife, Jill Biden. But Jill is not his mother. It's his stepmother, actually. He married after his mother had a very bad car accident in 1974, in December of 1970. No, December of 1972, December 18th, 1972. And Biden was born in 1970 in, I think, February. So he was about 2.5 years old. His mother and his sister, Naomi, they died in the crash. Hunter Biden and Beau Biden, his older brother, were also severely injured and spent months in the hospital. And Hunter Biden had traumatic brain injury. You're going to see, I think he could claim that, because I'm telling you, the stuff he does is out there. And maybe it did affect him. I mean, I don't know. The more I read about the case, the more it kind of got me a little bit confused. Anyway, Joe Biden became a senator in 1973, actually. And lots of credit, man. They're from Delaware. He went back and forth to Washington all the time to raise his kids, and you got to give him respect. I mean, 100. I really do give him 100% respect. Uh, did he do everything right? I'm sure not. Did he have a lot of help? Yes, he had some help from sisters and family. His sister was a very big help. But Joe Biden himself, ladies and gentlemen, it's really amazing to me that he kept doing this without jumping on a marriage to get help, or even bringing the kids closer with a nanny and whatever. Because obviously, Joe Biden has been in politics since 1973. Can you believe that, guys? 1973. That's 51 years. Is that crazy? I mean, do we really need politicians in action? But that's not what this is about. This is about Hunter Biden. So Hunter Biden grows up. He ends up going to Georgetown. He went to Georgetown school. He ends up graduating, ends up going to Yale Law School after that. So this kid had the brain power or the connections. You don't just get into Yale, but when your father's a senator, you can get into Yale University. Well, Hunter Biden, then this is what's really kind of like, I'm not going to say uh, mess me up a little bit, but it's like, what the hell are you talking about? This was a little bit of stuff that I didn't understand. After Hunter Biden, goes to college, and after he graduates, this is why I messed him up. He goes and volunteers right out of college. He goes and volunteers for a year in a Jesuit volunteer for a church in Portland, Oregon. I'm sorry. Listen, you could be religious, and God bless you, whatever you do. I'm spiritual, but not religious in this, because I think they manipulate way too many. You know what happened to me. I'm sure you could read about it. Go to Wikipedia, go anywhere. I'm sure. I don't know what happened to this guy. Maybe he was hitting the head with a bat by a priest. Back then, they did that as well, because he did not make good choices, period. So anyway, he volunteers as a Jesuit volunteer. I never got that Catholic and Jesuit and all these everybody has their own little thing, and whatever it takes to get by, but don't push it on everybody like people do. So listen, here's some crazy. So after graduating in 1996, Biden accepts a consulting position. Listen to this. He graduates college. He gets a consulting position. You got experience to be a consultant? Well, hello. We find out that his father's campaign, his employer, donated $200,000 to Hunter Biden's, Joe Biden's Senate campaign. So, and think of that. That's 1996. because it really blew my mind when I started doing the research. How do you become a consultant at a young age and no experience? What do you? Because the only thing you can be consultant about is who your daddy is. And listen, I'm not saying I wouldn't have did it either, or you wouldn't have did it. But don't let's come off like this guy's some pure evil, great guy, and because I don't think he is. So he ends up actually working for the bank, MBNA. It's actually a bank holding company. I don't know if they're even around anymore. And then he consults for the election campaign. He goes on that. Then in 1998, he then serves as the United States Department of Commerce. So he left as a sweet job here as a consultant, and then he goes into the Commerce, United States Department of Commerce. It was all family connections, because why would you even do that, making that kind of money with a bank and everything else? But he did. So I don't know. And he helped in the Bill Clinton's 2001 campaign. Okay, let's keep it going. So this is what messes you up too with Biden. Personal wise, he joins the Navy at, I think, 43 years old in 2013. He joins the Navy Reserve. They were having a program where they were taking people with experience, commission them as officers, so they don't have to spend all that training and stuff like that. That was all legit and everything else. Of course, connections. He wanted to be in the Navy. And sure enough, what does he do? He doesn't make it one weekend. He goes to the Navy Reserves on his first weekend as a commissioned officer. He goes there and he fails a drug test for what? Cocaine. After the cocaine, he said it was a cigarette he got that must have been laced. Yeah, we believe that one too. Listen, he's coming up with every excuse, but here he is, 43 now. At some point, you got to start accepting responsibility for who you are, what mess up you are, whatever it is. I don't even know that part of it. But this is what happens. He gets kicked out of the Navy. You get booted. In 2014, he's booted. There's no consequences for this guy's actions. Gets better jobs, gets connections. Talk about daddy really helping him along. And we're going to get into that. It just blows me away when you tell me that a guy like this is a great guy or a great making choices. No, he made bad choices. I made bad choices. Yeah, Larry Lawton made a lot of bad choices. I did pay for them. So, I mean, that's a whole different animal, with Biden. So now let's keep getting on. Biden ends up marrying in 2013. Meets a young lady, graduates, and he meets this young lady at a college in Oregon. He ends up marrying her. That's his first wife. Divorces her in 2017. But listen to this. It's from 2016 to 2019. He's actually dating or having an affair or having whatever relations with Beau Biden's widowed wife. Yes, I mean, the dynamics there must have been something at a family dinner. Beau Biden, very much respect, ends up dying of brain cancer. He was in the military. Everything looked good with him. Never had trouble with anything. And here this guy ends up getting with his wife afterwards. And according to the reports, screwed up his ex-wife too, with drugs, and gets her into drug addiction. He was also having sex with a girl named Zoe or whatever that, but who cares? Listen to me. I had a lot of sex with a lot of different women, so I'm not even going to even question any of that and what happens with that. I could care less, because it's not about that. It's really not. So Biden ends up marrying a girl in 2019. Here's the choice making. We're only talking now 5 years. I started YouTube in November of 2019. 4.5 years ago, I think 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, before I was into YouTube, 2020. So yeah, about 4.5 years ago. And he marries a lady named Melissa Cohen. Melissa Cohen is from South Africa. They met 6 days later, they get married. Now listen, I heard of love at first sight, but I don't know. This is pretty wild too. I mean, this is all choice making, building up to where he is. I hate to say this, but everything piling up, even though that nothing is illegal, nothing is nefarious with this. It's kind of talks to his choice making really pretty badly. So he marries a lady after 6 years. Of course, this lady's from South Africa. Yes, she's a naturalized citizen now. She's got her green or citizenship. But think about that. you are the son of a very powerful senator at the time. How well was she vetted, the person? I really don't know. And it's kind of interesting to follow this case along a little bit and see what happens. Because this lady's by his side, pretty woman, both 54 years old. She speaks 5 languages, so she's not an idiot either. But boy, did she have her sights high. I mean, how high do you get? And at that point, he was the vice president. I mean, before, because at that time he was the vice president under Obama. So he married her. Now, Biden had a bunch of stuff going with Ukraine and the holding companies and a bunch of stuff like that. But I'm not going to get into that because that was a lot of he say, she say. Ukraine said it was okay. Everything happened. I actually looked into it so much. I said, there's not enough here to really make a big decision. I'm not about to get on somebody unless I see something or know something like I do now. He is a convicted felon. He did get caught and he did get convicted of 3 charges. We're going to get into that. So here we got Hunter Biden. Here's what he did. And now what do? We get into a gun charge. What does he do? In 2018, he applies for a gun. Now, under the laws, 922 and 924 or 18 U.S.C. 922 to 924. In fact, I have a 924C, which is using a gun in commission of a felon. He didn't have that, but he is under that statute. And what he did on that statute and convicted of, because I think it's questionable. I don't know the whole defense on that one. What does he do? He signs that he's doesn't do drugs, never done drugs, and that's a felony. In fact, if you remember my channel, Kodak Black actually went to jail and had to get a pardon from President Trump on the same exact thing, kind of not understanding the actual law. Now, even that, I can debate somebody about the case itself. I really could. That would be easy for Larry to do. But I'm not. I'm going to know what the court did. And usually I tell people, listen, if that's what the court said, I'm going to go with the findings of the court. These are the people of the court. They know more than I do. They heard the evidence. The judge, everybody seemed fair. Nobody is saying somebody did something illegally or against him overly like Donald Trump does all the time. Now, whether that is true or not, again, we're not about Trump right now. So now here is Biden. He is now a convicted felon. He won't get sentenced. Probably they said 120 days, which is 4 months. That's about right because they have to do what they call a PSI, which is a pre-sentence investigation. And they have to find out what his offense level was, which I looked it up. It's in Chapter 2 of the Department of Justice sentencing guideline book. It's a level 14. He has no other extenuating circumstances, and he has 0 criminal history. So the guidelines say he should be getting 15 to 21 months in prison. 15 to 21 months in prison is what the guidelines say. Now, should he go to prison? I'm not a guy who thinks anybody really should go to prison for this kind of stuff. I really don't. I think the law's got to be changed for anybody. I think it's absurd. Our Second Amendment was supposed to be the greatest, Bill of Rights, number 2. And here we can't. Second Amendment is right to bear arms, and I can't bear arms because I committed a felony. Well, it doesn't say that in the Constitution. It doesn't say that in the Second Amendment. But let's get away from me and all the gun stuff. So now Hunter Biden's next step, he's going to get a PSI. That means they're going to investigate. They're going to go into his background. They're going to go to his criminal. He has no criminal history. But all the little things that happened to him along the way. I even think the traumatic brain injury at 2.5 years old can play a factor in this. I really mean that. Because what that's called and as extenuating circumstances, and it gives a judge a reason to what they call downward depart. That means the judge could say, I think his medical condition, I think the stress of the family and the Hunter Biden and his mom dying young could have an effect. And it works. That's not a privilege statement, people. That happens. So anybody can do it, and judges do listen to it, and you have to have, obviously, this is a little bit more public. And when it comes to the hearing, the judge is going to have this PSI, pre-sentence investigation in front of him. So he's going to look at him. He's going to see what the probation officers say and everything else. Now, personally, I don't think that will ever happen. And here's what my prediction would that be. If I was Joe Biden, the president, I would pardon him. Now people go, "What do you mean, Larry? Why would you pardon?" Listen to me. Stop it. He didn't pardon him before the trial. He let it play out. He could have. Donald Trump pardoned Joe Arpaio, the sheriff of Arizona, Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio, and he pardoned him before the trial. You can do that. You can pardon him anytime he wants. So he was pardoned. Now, Joe Biden said he's not going to give a pardon to his son. Listen, Joe Biden loses this election or even wins this election. Would I let my son go to prison over this? Absolutely not. Sorry, I wouldn't do it. It's almost funny because I wish he would and go visit him, see how shitty the prison system is about no rehabilitation and a whole bunch of stuff we could talk about from there. But I personally would not do that. I really would not let my son or daughter spend a day in jail on a case like this, or any case really, if it's obviously not something so out of whack. Yes, did he do it? Yes, was he an addict? But as the law states, he's convicted of 3 charges. He's 2 of knowingly filing a false statement on a gun application. That knowingly. First, doing it is 1 charge. Knowingly knowing you're just not supposed to do it is another charge. That's 2nd count. And his 3rd count is the possession of the gun. He ended up buying a little 38 special, is what he bought in 2018. And he had it for 3 weeks, not even a lot of time. And I don't know why he bought it. Was he threatened? Was he neurotic? Was he, paranoid? I'm sure there was a lot going on. This guy was all messed up. But as the law states, if you under alcohol, or it doesn't say alcohol, it says drugs, narcotics, stimulants. But guess what? I did a lot of research on this, people. Alcohol is a drug, flat. There's nobody denying that. So that's trying to say anybody who ever had a gun and had 1 drink, you're using a drug, you could go to jail. Think of what I just said. You can go to, no, Larry, that wouldn't happen. Listen, I'm not saying it would happen. I'm saying you could. You could. There's no way that I think this case would ever come in front of a real jury and waste the time and the money of the taxpayers of this country over some bullshit that's really political. Now, what I think is going to happen now? First of all, before even that happens, he's going to be appealing this case. There's, I don't know what appealable issues they're going to be, but there's usually appealable issues. They're going to appeal this, and they're going to appeal this after the election. Obviously, I don't think it's going to even come close to the election for a lot of reasons, legit reasons. So after the election, either Joe Biden's the president for another 4 years and he's done and he don't care and he's going to, and I would. And I wouldn't even look down on the guy. I mean, I would actually look down on him if he let the kid go to jail. That's not happening. I'm not letting my kid go to jail if I can help it. I hope my kid never does something stupid like that and whatever, but I would not let my son go to jail. I really wouldn't. And so that is going to happen at the end of that. If he loses appeal or wins his appeal, Biden might just let it all play out. And all the people that are making money is the lawyers. Really, that's it. I think all the prosecutors and stuff and the special prosecutor and all that, that's all about clout and name and a lot of other bullshit that goes along with this case. So now Hunter Biden gets convicted on all 4 for that drug. And how is this going to affect President Biden? A lot of people ask me this too. What do you think is going to happen to the election? I don't think it helps former President Trump, and I'll tell you why. He's talking about how corrupt the system is, how he got, bamboozled. Biden just got slammed. I'm telling you, he got slammed. So I'm not a big believer that this is going to help anybody. I don't think this helps anybody. I really don't. I think what's going to help this election is watching 2 80-year-old men debate. That's coming up real soon. That should be fun. I mean, it boggles my mind. It really does at this point. What's going to happen is he's getting more and more, I hate to say feeble, the president, but listen, he's our president. I root for him and stuff, but I really think get out. Come on, President Biden, get out, leave, get somebody in there who's young, vibrant. It must, what I often look at with the presidency is every single person, and I'm not a kid anymore, guys. My first president I voted for was Ronald Reagan. And I can tell you something. Every one of them, when they get into office, they grow old. In fact, Reagan's probably the only one who really didn't. He had a lot of Grecian formula, dye in the hair. But really, every one of them, from Obama to Clinton, they all look like they aged. I don't know if they tell them like there's Martians in Area 51 out in Nevada or some shit. I don't know. But I can tell you this. Every one of them look crazy old. And I think it has to do with a lot of stress. Can you imagine having the world's pressures on you? Every day you go to bed, you could be woken up and something is going on. I'm watching what's going on around the world right now, and I'll tell you the truth, I'm scared. Not per se scared, but I think something's going on. I don't know. It's too much shit around the world. People could throw rockets like it's a punch in the face, and it's not. People die, and I think it's crazy. We just caught some more terrorists who got in through the southern border a year ago. I'm not blaming that on Biden either or anybody. I'll blame it on one person. That's Kamala Harris, who hasn't did shit. Yes, our vice president hasn't did shit for the wall or even talked about it. And she really is a very, very poor representation of our country, more so than anybody else I've met. Just because she laughs like she's on drugs, on happy gas, talking about people's lives and stuff that happens with this. And it's just sad. It's just sad that Joe Biden actually picked her, a person who let people who were already exonerated by DNA stay in prison because it didn't fancy her political whims at that moment. So that's a whole nother case. So there's where Hunter Biden got to research him, know him, so to speak. Stupid is stupid. But you know what? That's drugs. So I'm really not looking at him like you're an evil man. I really don't. I don't look at anybody like this as an evil man. This guy was obviously an addict. Was he doing drugs during this? Listen, let's face it. He was doing drugs. Is there an argument there? Yes. He presented it, didn't stick. I would have did it a little bit different. I think I would have had a better case on that. But he did what he did. He was an addict, and I hope he gets clean. Like I hope everybody out there gets clean. I love when you guys call me or write me and say, "Hey, Larry, you helped me get through a part of my life." Thank you for that. That makes a lot. It means a lot to me. It really does. Listen, I'm pro a lot of things. You all know that. But I'm also pro good choice making. I don't care what you do. You want to smoke pot? You want to do acid? I don't care. Listen, this is a free country. I'm a libertarian. I have no say. But the minute you commit a crime, the minute you do something illegal for drugs or whatever, you don't get a pass. You go accept the consequences. I did. Not that I was a drug addict. Mine was a whole different case. But anybody, if you are committing a crime to get drugs or do anything, you should be held accountable for it. But if you're doing something in your own house or something, come on, who cares? Now, this guy's proven that he needed help, and I think he would have kept going until he did something stupid. I mean, why do you buy a gun when you could get security if you need it? And the guy had the money and everything else. It just boggles my mind. His privilege is there. It's pretty black and white there. But why to buy? Why? I just don't understand when people want a gun. When go fight. I love fight. Have a fight. Don't pull a gun. Someone said, "Well, but what happens? What happens if what? What happens if you're not going to overthrow the government? You're not going to defend yourself against the government if they come in here with a tank and you got a pea shooter. It's not going to happen. That's the most ludicrous stuff I ever heard. Now, can it help against maybe an invader or something of that nature to protect you? Yes, 100%. But also a guy, 54 years old, myself, a bat can do pretty good, or a big crowbar. Let me tell you something. You better shoot me. And if the guy has a gun anyway, you can be shot anyway. So I always know this: more people die from accidental gun stuff because they thought they knew how to use it or they can handle it under pressure. Doesn't happen like that, guys. It really doesn't. But in this case, what do I think of him? I think Biden is never going to go to jail. I really don't. I think Hunter Biden, if he does, I would be surprised. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't. I'd look at Joe Biden and say, "Man, how do you let your son go to prison? Don't tell me for principle. That crap went out the window a long time ago. You're a senator. You saw a lot of shit, Joe Biden, and you know it." I don't know what's going to happen in the election. I think Donald Trump is up in the polls, but we know polls mean shit right now. We still got a long way to go for the election. I think the debates are happening, and I think that's going to be a telltale time what happens. It's going to be kind of funny. You got two crazies up there. Really. One's really crazy. One's just senile. I mean, this is going to be fun. But people, I hope you understood. I hope you got a little bit more information on the Hunter Biden case. I hope you can take away from this a little bit more about the law, how it works, and don't make bad choices, guys, man. Listen, I always say it, and you're gonna, and people do, and I still don't hate you. I'll help you. I'll try to do what I can. But think before you act. You get to that age, most of you. If you're young, don't think you get in a pass because you're under 18, because that's the start of a slippery slope, and you don't want to be on it. You want to be on that slide. I'll tell you what, that's going to take you into the sewer, and that sewer is not smelling too good for you. So, guys, with that said, man, I love you guys. Thank you for all the good comments. Thank you for all we're doing. We're finding out more and more stuff. So much is coming out. I'll be in New York, Empire State Building, a whole bunch of stuff. Have a great day, everybody. Please stay safe, make good choices. I'll see you next time.